And you got to, I mean, it's a kind of a God thing, because you got to think there are probably 200 people in this big circle for the driver meeting, the nighttime drivers meeting. And so we all grabbed our lawn chairs and we headed over in to listen to the meeting. And we happened to sit next to Rich, and Rich and I live in the same we live in the same town.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just a beautiful
That's
thing.
fantastic.
So you can just see all the connection
Yes.
and just how it all worked. It was perfect.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, that's the only thing that really they should do at protests. They should tell people to connect with at least one other person, get your details, emails and phone numbers, because we've got to start talking to each other. That's how we're going to get through this, because they stop us from talking about it.
Yeah, I mean,
and Dan, I think that your website is going to help. Like, can you imagine having 1 million people sign? It's very similar to like a petition, but we need people to see how many people are awake at this moment.
Yeah.
So the transition for them is not hard.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, if you think about how mass formation works, so that the mass brainwashing, the soft brainwashing, where basically you've got the elements of the heightened excitement, which would be in this case, because it's positive, about love and light, and obviously, you know, changing the paradigm and shifting consciousness and being about all of the good stuff. They've done it with anxiety, and they've done the visibility as being through the mass media broadcasting. And then they've obviously basically manipulated the data and the polling, you know, which is giving them the conformity of the public, thinking that everybody else is agreeing to the, you know, rules and regulations that have been brought in. So basically, by actually having the visible vote seen and the people connecting with high enthusiasm, you know, higher consciousness, sharing it initially, and that growing and growing, and then people who don't necessarily sign up immediately, but go on the site, and then they, over a month or two, start seeing that voice grow. It gives them confidence to think, well, what am I waiting for? I'm only agreeing to basically, you know, having abundance and actually sovereignty. That's it. You know, of course I would wish that over the current paradigm. And so then they will hopefully then start to come on board as well in time. But of course it is going to be stemming from, you know, the people that are already with a raised consciousness initially broadcasting it. And obviously being highly enthused, and obviously the vibration of actually knowing in our hearts that we're doing it is already starting to lift the vibration of the planet, and that will actually start to shape and then not create that reality, you know, that we're wanting to create ultimately. So, and of course we've just got all of the other things that will come along the way, like the CannaCoin thing, the hemp, and being able to, you know, produce our own form of currency with that. That's just going to be
you know what, Dan, I think it would be good if people signed up to whether they would accept dealing with we've got to find out if people would be amenable to bartering using CannaCoin, or you know, it's CannaCoin in this regard, because that's actually doing something. We need people to actually do something, and we need to be able to write about this rather than just have it hairy-fairy. I'm calling it hairy-fairy, but not to put anything down that you said, but I'm just saying we need something of a very clear, because this prevents the little worms from getting in, and the establishment, the cabal, will just disintegrate of its own accord. You know, like Buckminster Fuller said, we create the new model and make the other one will just become automatically irrelevant. And don't expect big numbers in the beginning, because that's not how nature works. It starts off with the few. We're the few, and there's probably other people everywhere else, and we probably differ on very probably minor things, and we've got to talk it out so that we get it the best possible and not waste people's time, because time is the element of life at the moment, is what we know, and we've got to have an idea in our heads that whenever we've got to treat other people's time as valuably as we treat our own. And if we did that, then there'd be a lot of things would just automatically change. So it's really the programming we've got to change, you know.
Well, this website, actually, when you get a chance to go through it, you'll see that it is really all-encompassing. So they've got detailed written the 3 phases of the process. And, you know, obviously the before and after, or comparing the old with the new, is just to actually help people kind of really understand why on earth would they want to not vote for the new paradigm. It makes it very easy for people to understand actually, of course, it makes absolute sense. This is the most humane solution that there is. And then in terms of actually what currency or what kind of transaction or bartering method there is that comes into fruition at any point, before and after the whole world has come on board with it, it's down to the people actually to decide that this is created by people for the people. And so, of course, we'll have various different forms of probably, trading our energy for, what we need, the resources that we need, the solutions that we need. And that's where the value is being placed back into the individual. So ultimately, yes, they've got the concept of obviously putting money into people's accounts immediately. This is just actually, I think, because like I say, at the moment, the vast majority of people that are being introduced to it are no way raised consciousness enough in themselves to actually really understand, the idea or the concept of using, anything else other than fiat currency or now digital currency or crypto, because that's all of the kind of programming that they've had to date, right? And they can't imagine going back in time, like in history, and then bartering, still.